Bank of China's aircraft leasing company, BOC Aviation, has lost $600 million. In March last year, 17 of its planes were seized by Russia, resulting in an $800 million provision for losses. Recently, BOC Aviation decided to cease pursuing compensation for 8 of these aircraft, effectively gifting them to Russia in exchange for $200 million, thus incurring a direct loss of $600 million. This unequal settlement was still reported with apparent satisfaction by the company's board of directors and was a voluntary decision by the company. Most of the remaining 9 aircraft are still with Russia's largest airline, Aeroflot. It is said that direct recovery of these planes is almost impossible. Among the 178 Airbus and Boeing planes held by Aeroflot, 25 are already dismantled to salvage usable parts, some of which may belong to BOC Aviation. According to Ken Hill, an American specializing in aircraft repossessions, he represented a U.S. leasing company before the Russia-Ukrainian war to recover 3 Boeing 737 planes, only to find their engines missing. The longer the planes stay in Russia, the more likely it is that their maintenance records for the body, engine, and flight systems will not be properly preserved. Without these records, nobody dares to lease these aircraft. Some Chinese netizens joke that since aircraft parts are banned by Western countries, and China is reluctant to sell Western parts to Russia, they might as well leave a few planes for Russia to dismantle and use. This humorous comment actually hints at a deeper reality. Russia's aviation industry is struggling. Companies like Airbus, Boeing, Bombardier, Rolls-Royce, General Electric, and Northrop Grumman are not supplying parts to stolen aircraft. Pobeda Airlines, a subsidiary of Aeroflot, can only fly 25 of its 41 aircraft. Ural Airlines, which owns over 50 Airbus planes, has begun dismantling planes for parts. Last summer, Aeroflot management instructed pilots to land on long runways and avoid using brakes to save the brake systems. Russia's domestic planes, such as the Sukhoi Superjet 100 and the medium-range narrow-body MS-21, also face maintenance challenges. The Superjet 100 uses the SAM-146 engine, a French-Russian collaboration, and the MS-21 uses American engines. Without these imported parts, maintenance is no longer required and the planes cannot fly. Some Russian domestic planes do have Russian-made engines, but the engine's high-temperature parts are made by the American company Pratt & Whitney, as Russia's metallurgical technology is insufficient. The Russian aviation regulator has authorized airlines to use non-original spare parts, even those from Iran, significantly reducing aircraft reliability. Before the war, over 80% of aviation accidents involved Russian-made planes. However, in the first 8 months of 2023, the proportion of incidents involving Boeing and Airbus soared to 60%, a rate previously never exceeding 40%. Last year, the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, audited Russia's flight safety and listed it as a red flag country, alongside Bhutan, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Liberia. Aeroflot, Russia's largest airline, used to maintain its Boeing and Airbus planes in Germany. However, with Germany prohibiting Russian planes from entering its airspace, this service channel has been cut off. In desperation, Russia signed an agreement with Iran in July last year to provide necessary spare parts and maintenance for Russian aircraft. On April 5th this year, Aeroflot sent an Airbus A330-300 to Iran's Mahan Air for maintenance, but it's still not repaired, with the earliest completion expected by next April. Before the sanctions, Russian airlines relied on Western companies like Lufthansa Technik for parts. After the war, Russia turned to smaller suppliers. For instance, S7's maintenance department obtained at least $1.23 million worth of aviation parts from Moldova's Airrock Solutions in the past 14 months, transported to Russia via the UAE or Kyrgyzstan. From May last year to the end of June this year, aircraft parts valued at approximately $1.2 billion flowed into Russia through intermediary countries. Parts ranged widely, from critical mechanical components like Northrop Grumman's equipment, cabin pressure valves, cockpit displays, and landing gears to everyday items like coffee machines, flight attendant telephones, and toilet seats. Some key parts, like Northrop Grumman equipment, were produced as early as October 2008. These components had been used in several aircraft, including those in Saudi Arabia 6 years ago. However, this $1.2 billion figure might still underestimate the actual situation, as it only includes goods directly shipped to Russian airlines or their maintenance units, not those sent to other Russian companies. For example, over the past 14 months, Ural Airlines received multiple American parts containing high-tech laser gyroscopes imported from the US, then transshipped via Central Asian countries to Russia through the UAE. Additionally, Russia's Nordwind Airlines procured hundreds of parts for its fleet of 12 Airbus and 15 Boeing aircraft through Ramses Turizm, a company based in Turkey. Under the current international sanctions environment, China cannot match the key technologies and components manufacturing of Boeing and Airbus suppliers. Therefore, even if China is willing to assist Russia, it is difficult to replace the support of Western aviation manufacturers. The Chinese government's stance in the BOC Aviation aircraft seizure incident has sparked widespread discussion among netizens. Many believe that the government's lack of strong demand for the return of these planes from Russia is to maintain good relations with Russia without fully considering the interests of Chinese-funded companies. Netizens' opinions are clear. In this matter, the Chinese Communist Party government is not standing with Chinese companies. Regarding the concession to Russia, netizens believe that the CCP is effectively a foreign power or a traitor to the country, not truly representing China. With irony, metaphor, and hyperbole, netizens express dissatisfaction with the Chinese Communist Party's decisions. Are there similar incidents in other countries? Is this an isolated case or just the tip of the iceberg? It's evident that dealing with Russia at a loss is a general pattern for China. Even the former CCP leader Mao Zedong was not exempt from this. There's a joke about Mao telling Kang Sheng, the head of intelligence, that business with Russia could be done but in moderation. He criticized Russian machinery for being clumsy, expensive, and of poor quality, and Russian business lacking in ethics compared to capitalist countries. Mao referred to a set of fertilizer equipment Russia exported to China, weighing 1,800 tons and occupying over 3,000 acres, requiring over 3,000 workers. In contrast, Italian equipment weighed only 180 tons, occupied 300 acres, and needed 300 workers. The CCP has long known how Russia conducts business, but still prioritizes political considerations over economic interests in dealing with Russia. After Russia faced sanctions, the CCP acted as a vital ally. The market vacuum left by Western companies in Russia was occupied by China. However, the Chinese government's encouragement for Chinese companies to enter the Russian market might not necessarily be beneficial for these businesses. The success of Chinese companies like Xiaomi, Realme, and Transsion in the Russian mobile phone market, and car brands like Chery, Great Wall, and Geely indicate Chinese business expansion in Russia. However, due to Russia's high tariffs on these products and various local government fees, Chinese brands' phones and cars may sell at good prices, but the actual profits are not substantial. Meanwhile, with the Russian government facing significant deficits and high military expenses, the Russian central bank had to print money extensively, increasing the pressure of currency devaluation. Any commercial success of Chinese companies in Russia will face greater currency risk and exchange losses as the ruble's exchange rate against the dollar and yuan drops, potentially resulting in actual profits far below expectations. China's policy of importing Russian oil has also been criticized. China pays more for Russian oil than the EU. In 2022, the average price for Russian crude oil imported into China was equivalent to $92.84 per barrel, compared to Europe's enforced price cap of $60 per barrel for Russian oil imports. In broader energy collaborations, such as the Siberia 2 natural gas pipeline project, China has adopted a cautious stance. The gas prices offered by this project are higher than those in the European market, and the pipeline passes through Mongolia, a U.S. ally, adding geopolitical risk. Due to these factors, China has been undecided about signing this contract. This shows that while the Chinese Communist Party doesn't want to see Russia's economy collapse, it is not willing to make significant sacrifices. Although Sino-Russian relations are good at the governmental level, they are fraught with challenges and difficulties at the grassroots level. In the 1990s, many Chinese people facing unemployment or crackdowns chose to do business in Russia. Many Chinese traders smuggled goods into Russia to sell, resulting in inconsistent product quality. Russian people's impression of Chinese was tainted due to items like down jackets containing rotten chicken heads, horsehide jackets that tore easily, shirts that fell apart after washing, fake pearl necklaces sold as real, malfunctioning lighters, shoes with paper soles, and fox fur coats made of cat and dog fur. In Moscow of the 1990s, Chinese merchants often suffered violence from skinheads, extortion by police, and gang robbery. Entering the 2000s, with Putin's crackdown on skinheads, the situation for Chinese merchants improved. Around the 2018 World Cup, Russia intensified its crackdowns on smuggling. However, due to high business profits in Russia, many Chinese merchants persisted. Regular Chinese companies in Russia do not receive special treatment due to friendly relations between the two nations. After the 2014 Crimea crisis, Russia's attitude towards these Chinese companies shifted to normal business treatment, and officials could no longer make things difficult for them. However, in China, Russians can benefit commercially from Chinese goodwill towards Russia. A Russian youth, Volov, came to Beijing Language University in 2012 and started a business in China 4 years later. He began in the wine business and occasionally appeared on small variety shows. His polite manner did not make him stand out in China's busy market. In May 2019, Volov's fortune changed overnight when he started expressing his love for China in an exaggerated manner in videos. Using Mandarin with a foreign accent, he said, "I've always used Huawei phones, already on my third one. I love China. Our China is so powerful. Powerful, my China." His simplicity bordered on naivete. His social media followers rapidly increased, along with his income. Within a few years, Volov bought a car and house in Hangzhou. By 2021, he had become an internet celebrity with over 13 million followers. Volov obtained a Chinese ID card, but his permanent residency is still pending. The outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022 and the friendly relations between China and Russia, coupled with the admiration of Putin among the Chinese people, led many to enthusiastically buy Russian products. From sausages to chocolates, Russian goods were quickly sold out on some e-commerce platforms. In the first half of this year, a Chinese person impersonating a Russian became an internet celebrity, gaining over 300,000 followers in 2 months. This person, nicknamed Paul Caucasian, was inspired by the protagonist of the novel How the Steel Was Tempered. Using deepfake technology and artificial intelligence, he created the image of a Russian with a beard, speaking with a Henan accent in a foreign tone, claiming to be an elite of the Russian Chechen Special Forces fighting for Russia in the Ukraine war. He starts his videos with, "Hello, friends of China," and ends with, "The red flag will never fall, hurrah." Paul Caucasian's real identity is Wang Kangmei. His live streams were filled with dramatic and exaggerated elements, such as claiming to have seized Zelensky's car and even capturing American soldiers. Although these stories are obviously untrue, his followers seemed unconcerned about these details. His real appeal lay in his criticism of the United States, which resonated with the emotions of many Chinese viewers. He also used his platform to sell so-called Russian specialties, earning a significant amount from selling Russian milk powder alone. His slogan, "Every order you place is like firing a bullet at the U.S. military," ignited the enthusiasm of Chinese consumers. Within a few months, Paul Caucasian gained hundreds of thousands of followers and sales figures in the hundreds of thousands, receiving countless rewards. When his real identity and story were revealed, Paul Caucasian had to delete all his videos and changed his account name to Wang Kangmei, shifting his focus to anti-American content. Unfortunately, he had encroached upon the turf of patriotic influencers and was subsequently banned. This case caused a sensation in the industry. A well-known internet personality revealed that Paul Caucasian was actually a supporter of Ukraine, and he posted videos to gauge the reaction of Chinese Russia supporters. He found that they were easily deceived by such tactics. This phenomenon reflects the blind worship of Russia among the Chinese public, especially the fascination with Putin. The CCP government is no exception, buying into the Eurasian empire dream portrayed by Russia. In this context, Russia is naturally seen as a formidable entity, with the CCP playing a compliant role. In such an atmosphere, the losses encountered by BOC Aviation, a subsidiary of the Bank of China, and Aeroflot's use of the insurance company NSK to deal with the seized planes for a mere $200 million is not surprising. The Chinese government's blind spots in handling international relations and limitations in its global political strategy have become apparent.